Hey guys, Sundance here. Very short video tonight. This one is simply called Recommended Reading. There are some books that I would recommend if you're a gun guy or gal that I recommend you take a look at. In no particular order, by the way, but these are some of the ones I've enjoyed the most. I'm going to start with The Truth About Self-Protection by Ayoob. There you go. I think it's still in print, I'm not sure. But this is a good read. I don't know where you might want to check online. I found it in a bookstore, but it was quite some time ago now. And I think it was even off the used rack. So don't know if you can find it, but keep an eye out and look for The Truth About Self-Protection by Ayoob. It's a good book for anybody that is carrying a gun for self-defense, concealed carry, well, frankly, licensed or otherwise. But another book, and frankly, the next one, there's an entire series of books. I don't have all of them. I have a few of them. I just pulled one off the shelf as a random reference. I will probably end up doing an entire video on Jeff Cooper. If you're a gun guy or gal and you're into guns, you need to read everything by Jeff Cooper that you can get your hands on. I will leave it at that for now because we'll do a video on Jeff. This one happens to be Gargantuan Gunsight Gossip 3, which is just a compilation of some of his writings after he passed. He's passed away now. I think 2006, I believe he passed away. He was a contributing author to Guns and Ammo magazine for years. If you're familiar with the Gunsight facility, the Gunsight training facility, at one time owned and operated by, I believe, owned and operated by Jeff Cooper. It now is owned by somebody else. In fact, I think it's changed hands a couple of times. But in the day, Jeff Cooper was called the guru when it came to hunting rifles in particular, and handguns, and to a lesser extent shotguns. But in any event, anything you can get your hands on by Jeff Cooper, and I'll go over into his books in specific at a later time. The one I pulled off of my shelf happens to be Gunsight Gossip number 3. So take a look at that one. The next one is a book I'd recommend. It's by John Lott, Jr. It's the newest of all of these books, frankly. The Bias Against Guns. This will give you a perspective of the media's bias against guns. It's subtitled Why Almost Everything You've Heard About Gun Control is Wrong. So again, if you're a gun proponent, if you carry, this would be an excellent read for you. Another one I highly recommend. I really like this book, and I'll tell you, this book stemmed from a movie called, if I remember correctly, Extreme Prejudice. Is that right? Nick Nolte, Powers Booth. Nick Nolte played a Texas Ranger. First of all, if I remember the title correctly, check the movie out. But in any event, that Nick Nolte character of the Texas Ranger was based upon a real Texas Ranger who provided some expert consultation for that movie. A Texas Ranger named Joaquin Jackson. And he has a memoir book called One Ranger. One Ranger being in reference to the old saying, one riot, they send one Ranger. Excellent, fun read right here, especially if you've seen the movie and liked the movie, and in fact the character even looks like that. This is a fun one to read. Another book I'd recommend, not because it's necessarily so great of a read, but historically it's just a neat book to read and to have. It's written by Bill Jordan, no second place winner. I could do an entire video on Bill Jordan as well, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it now. But he was a law enforcement officer and a fast draw expert. He liked the .357 and a double action. There are holsters that were designed with his input, named after him. He's kind of an icon in the history of guns. So if you're into guns, This is a fun read to have, or a fun book to have, and a quick little read. It's not much of a book, but it's kind of thin, quick one. But it's a good one to have on the shelf for the historical reference. So again, I recommend that. If you're in, I'm into big bore revolvers, in addition to other comments you've heard from me. So anybody that knows anything, and I'll definitely do another video at another time about Elmer Keith, but those that don't know, Elmer Keith, the author of this book, Six Guns, he wrote several books, but this is the one he's most remembered by. Elmer Keith was a little cowboy out of Idaho who was instrumental in the development of the .44 Magnum revolvers and cartridges, well, the cartridge specifically. And he's just a pivotal person in gun history because the development of the .44 Magnum, taken from the .44 Special hot loads that he developed, is what gave birth to the new handguns that were able to handle that cartridge. So not only did he help develop a cartridge, but that actually promulgated a bunch of handguns to fit them. So there's an entire niche in the handgun world that we can attribute directly to Elmer Keith and his shooting, reloading, and research. It's a great book. This happens to be a very old book. It's no longer in print. You can find them occasionally on eBay or at gun shows. But it's a fun read because it goes back to the days in which carrying your big bore revolver was not only socially acceptable but almost expected of a gentleman. Single actions to double actions. It's got his hunting histories in here, his reloading experiments, his opinions about what makes a great gun a great gun. Excellent read for anybody into revolvers. If you're into revolvers, I would also submit to you that currently the greatest handgun writer, in my opinion, is John Taffin. And if you're not familiar with John Taffin, do a little research and pick up some of his books. He's an ongoing writer for Guns and American Handgunner magazines, which unto themselves are great reads. Both. You should subscribe to both of those magazines if you're into guns at all. But one of his books, he has a few. I have two of them that I chose as my favorites, and the first one that I liked was Big Bore Handguns by John Taffin. I recommend this one. It's a great book, and it was my favorite book for a very long time until John Taffin's current book came out, Single Action Six Guns. This is artwork. This is art. First of all, it's extremely well written. He's a wonderful writer, but it's also extremely well illustrated throughout the book with full color photographs, historical reference, chapters on holsters, everything that a big bore revolver fan would like. It's just so fun to read, look at the pictures, take in. It's almost like you can touch them. And this is now my favorite book in the world. I even got his autograph. Yeah. How cool is that? So these are my suggested readings from Sundance to all the gun guys and gals out there. Happy shooting and happy reading. See ya. Bye.